So I grew up and I went to mostly Trinity School, so I had religious education every single day. I got to know who Jesus was. I went to daily mass, and I had this textbook understanding of who he was. I started going to different youth events and just kind of getting to know who this person was. I started going into a Bible study, and through a retreat experience, I had a powerful experience where I came to know Jesus' love for me, and that changed everything. I got to start to know this person instead of knowing a person that I was studying.
So on the 8th grade retreat, I didn't have a huge experience, but I saw that people had something that I didn't, and I saw like a certain peace around them, and that was really important for me to see, and that pushed me to strive to get that myself. That it did transfer into my home life. I tried to pray more consistently every day, and just be a better person that God called me to.
One of the things that really stands out for me personally is in religious education. One of the instructors that we had actually taught us to, basically it was almost like meditating while you're praying, and basically laying there and picturing yourself in like a very comfortable spot, your favorite place that you can be, and imagine Jesus coming up to you and talking to you and having a conversation, and a real conversation. And at first it kind of felt a little strange, didn't really know how to do that, and then after a while it started to grow, and you really felt like you were having a conversation with God, and you really were, and it just took a little bit of time to really understand what you were doing. That was one thing that really impacted me growing up. I've never forgotten that. I've talked to that instructor a couple times since then, and really thanked that person for introducing God into my life in that way.
Well, I was born in a small family that didn't go to church. Lived in Crystal, Michigan, and my father was raised Methodist. My mom didn't go to church. They sent me to Sunday school when I was little for a couple of years, so I was, familiar with God, and I think I prayed even from a very young age. But we didn't go to church. It wasn't any type of formal commitment or participation in an organized faith. I went to Michigan State University for school, and ended up rooming with my future brother-in-law, Daryl Thalen. And he invited me several times to go to Mass with him. I almost always said no at first. My impression of organized religion was a little bit skeptical at that point. I wasn't an atheist, but I probably thought, I was agnostic. I thought that was cool when I was in college, and so I resisted that. But he would just gently ask me every time he went to Mass. And the thing about Daryl was that it was kind of his personal witnessing, the things that he did, not so much what he said. He's just a real humble, successful guy, very good in school, sports, just fun to be with, lots of fun. And it became a good friend, but I just admired his humility, really stuck out at that time. And there was something there. It's hard to put your arms around it, but there was just something there. So I started going to Mass with him on Sunday nights out at St. Thomas Aquinas, and I really liked it. It just kicked off my week in a way that a lot of peace, and it just started making a connection. And a year and a half later or so, I started dating Lori, and that kind of finished the cycle. It went from just going to Mass to kind of being on a firm commitment to join the faith. So between Daryl and Lori, I credit the Thalen family and their witness from this faith in this community, and helping to bring me into the faith. And by the way, my parents both converted after, a year or two after I did. So it was, it's been a great ripple effect.
From our experience here in Fowler, it really seemed like the education was outstanding here. Whether we went to Waldron and attended religious ed through grade school, went to MHT, and then went on to high school, really felt like the education throughout was great, and being able to tie that in with religious ed, and regardless of the form that it came in, was really great. So we definitely want that for our kids.
Yeah, my faith life growing up was very involved. Certainly with my family, we would pray a lot. We would read from the Bible, do the rosary, things of that nature. And then also we attended Most Holy Trinity Catholic School, 4th through 8th grade when I went through. And it was very enriching, very, very involved. some of the things that I felt that were very rewarding was that Jesus was involved in everything that we did. Every classroom, every subject. We would pray before class would start. We would go to Mass at least once a week, sometimes twice a week.
It's definitely made a big impression on me coming from the outside to see that that this faith lives on. It's a legacy that has been passed on from prior generations. So people have kept that faith alive, and that's not necessarily, unfortunately, the case at a lot of other communities and parishes, but it thrives here, and I think it thrives here in large part because of our youth programs, both the school and the religious education programs, and I've been really excited the last couple of years to see how that's just exploded in the last few years.
To continue on with the legacy of such strong faith, it is very important that we continue to have a vibrant and engaging religious educational programs here at Most Holy Trinity. With that thought in mind, in 1983, the Educational Trust Fund was established with the goal of creating a solid financial base that would generate income on a yearly basis that could be distributed to the parish in support of all of our religious education programs here at Most Holy Trinity.
The Catholic school did help my faith a lot more and kind of gave me the head start that I needed to start my faith journey. I think praying as a school was one of my favorite things we would do, like pray after Mass as a school or pray the Rosary after school, and then we would always have morning prayer every week too, so that was probably one of my favorite things that really helped not only my faith journey, but also the whole schools as well.
My faith journey started here at Most Holy Trinity. When I was 8 days old, I was baptized here in this church. And I grew up in a family of very devoted parents. My parents made sure that we prayed, that we attended Mass. They had us go to Most Holy Trinity School. They immersed us in a deep faith life, and that was something that they grew up with and they passed on to us. Eventually, when I was a young child, I thought I wanted to be a teaching nun, and the Racine Dominicans were the teachers here at Most Holy Trinity at that time. So that was my goal, and by the time I was an 8th grader, I took a test to see if I could master whatever would be the plan to go to the aspirancy in Racine, Wisconsin. And so my freshman, sophomore, and junior years, I was an aspirant in Racine with the goal, of course, of becoming a teaching nun. But by my junior year, I discovered that there was something going on within me, and an older nun who was a resident at the mother house where we girls now were housed came to visit me one day when I told Sister Jolene that I didn't feel well enough to go to school, and I think she sensed that I was going through a struggle. So with the help of this elderly nun, she helped me to realize that maybe God was not calling me. So I wrote a letter home and mentioned it to my parents, and I says, I'm having these doubts. And my mom wrote back, and I thought they were going to be really upset, and she says, we put a statue in the kitchen, and every night at supper we pray that God helps you to make the right decision. And I knew in my heart that if I made the decision to come back to Fowler for my senior year, that my family was okay with that, my parents would accept that, and they did. So I came back to Fowler for my senior year, was a student at LCC for 2 years, at Central for 2 years, with the goal of becoming a teacher. So I didn't become the nun, but I did become the teacher. And my whole teaching career was involved in Catholic schools. I started at St. Mary's in Westphalia, and then for 13 years taught religious education here at Most Holy Trinity, and in the last 17 years of my teaching career, I taught at Most Holy Trinity School. So this parish, this school, this church, this town is who I am. And I thank my parents for building this strong, deep faith within me that continues to this day, and it gets stronger and stronger. I thank the people who were my teachers, who were my friends, my students, people like you, who just helped me to see how important having a faith is. but how much more important it is to practice that faith and to pass that faith along to whether you have children or students or friends, whoever it may be. And I think I'm hoping that as I continue to grow older, that faith continues to build and build, so that maybe one day I will be that saint in heaven, even if it isn't a named saint, but I will at least have seen the pearly gates, if you will, and know that I did my best as a Catholic Christian, thanks to Most Holy Trinity here in Fowler, Michigan. My experience as a student was from 1st through 8th grade, and I think having nuns as some of my teachers and then lay teachers as well really helped to strengthen the faith that was already being developed at home. It was an enhancement to what my parents were helping me to understand was who I am as a Catholic Christian, the importance of living out my faith.
I had a really good experience in the religious education program. I definitely learned a lot, and I just learned more about my faith and what my faith meant to me, and just kind of how to spread my faith to other people too.
Coming from Fowler Most Holy Trinity, I'm a cradle-to-grave Catholic. Most Holy Trinity was very, very important to the faith development, as my parents were, because faith is first formed in your house, and then it's nurtured by the church. Very, very important to me in my growth, because as I went off to Michigan State, it was extremely important to me. It was significant because I really did take that with me and made it a part of my growth at Michigan State. I really felt that that faith was very important to me. Attended Mass during the week and was really critical.
I think some of the things that I really enjoyed in the atmosphere were the ability to pray before and after classes if necessary, and kind of the open general discussion of faith that we could have.
I am just so happy that my children are being raised in a community and in a church that really values the Catholic faith. Being that I was not raised in the Catholic faith, I can really appreciate the fullness of the faith and all the sacraments that we get to partake in.
So one of the teachers that was an influence on me as well was Mrs. Fedewa. She challenged us to do things that were, I thought, way a lot for kids. So she was very academically challenging. I lived close to the church, so sometimes in the summer I would walk into the church and do a little visit and come out. But when I went in there one time, I remember seeing, it was the summer, and the teachers didn't necessarily need to be in the summer, but Mrs. Fedewa was there praying. And I just remember that, it just struck me that that was part of her life then.
I feel like we both had good experiences.
We did.
As youths.
Yeah.
So, if we wouldn't have had that as a building block, I feel like it wouldn't have been as easy to pass it on to our children. We gained a lot from those positive experiences. Catholic school, grades 4 through 8th, high school religious education, youth groups. Those were big when we were growing up, and we had a lot of time together with those kind of things too. And it's the type of things that we wanted for our kids.
As far as my faith formation and how that's helped me through my career path, as mentioned, I tend to have a lot of patience with people, and I think that's important in my line of work. As a district court magistrate, I have people come through the court system that maybe don't understand things, or maybe they don't quite understand, why they're in the position they're in. And a lot of times it's just having someone explain things to them in a better way, in the way that they understand it, maybe makes their journey through that unfortunate time in their lives a little more easier.
We were very impressed and very happy with the religious ed program for our younger students who couldn't be in the Catholic school. I think that our early sacramental prep religion classes are excellent, excellent. I mean, and we're blessed that the kids are so close to the other school and can come over and have the maximum amount of time. I mean, that really matters.
I just think it's so important to see what a gift our faith in Fowler and at MHT is. I never realized what a gift it is here and what we have in Fowler until I left. And I mean, I've met a lot of other faith-filled people outside of Fowler, but it's just, God has truly blessed this community.
I guess what I want to see for the future is a strong religious ed program continue, the school continue, and to see, as I do see now, students who have come out of both programs become so involved in this parish and outside of this parish, to go to Steubenville, to work in the missions sometimes, to do things above and beyond what maybe I even thought of doing when I was a kid their age.
The religious education programs that are supported by the Educational Trust Fund distributions are the Catholic school, which has approximately 80 students attending. The religious education program that is offered for all of the public school students to attend, and currently there are over 280 students attending those programs. The youth ministry program, and as well as the retreats that the youth attend. In addition, the adult education programs are supported by the Trust Fund, which includes the RCIA program for individuals that are looking to become Catholic, as well as the monthly speaker series.
My parents raised me in the Catholic faith, and growing up, I think, you know, what I learned at home as a young child was then complemented by the Catholic school here at Most Holy Trinity Church, where what was important for me is it helped me to become a generally good person.
I hope that the parish, that other people can experience and come to know Jesus in a way that I've come to know him, and that they can continue to grow and realize that there's a loving God who loves them. And he's not waiting to send down fire and brimstones upon us, but he loves us and is just waiting for us to turn back to him.
The Legacy of Faith, Future of Hope campaign was initiated to increase the amount of the trust fund corpus. At this time, the trust fund corpus is approximately $1,250,000, and we are generating approximately $95,000 in income over the last couple of years from that corpus. The goal is to increase the corpus to over $1,500,000, and with a corpus of that size, we would be able to generate upwards of $130,000 potentially to distribute to the parish.
What would we do without them? I mean, in a sense, this is what Jesus told the apostles to do, go and make disciples of all nations. So, teaching and passing on the faith, that's the most important thing we can do.